Good evening. Our top story this week. In Massachusetts, CPS agent caseloads continue to grow as the troubled agency snatches more kids in light of a recent rash of failures, and with CPS agents quitting much faster than they can replace them, and with Governor Deval Patrick deciding to go out of town on a trade mission when the Child Welfare League of America is set to release their report into the Massachusetts child protective industry. Several states across the USA are looking for ways to phase out group homes for foster kids now that they finally realize how potentially damaging such placements are to the kids, including the fact that living in group homes lowers the chances of them graduating from high school, and with Connecticut CPS Commissioner Joette Katz saying that no kids will go into group home care without her say-so. In California, biological relatives are getting paid less to foster children than are strangers. In California's Orange County child protective industry is considered a statewide example of how the state's child welfare system suffer from chronic mismanagement and poor oversight. In Arizona, Governor Jan Brewer calls a special legislative session to ask for money for her new standalone child protective agency. In Michigan, a report finds a racial disparity in the state's foster care system, with minority children being 2.1 times more likely to be snatched than white kids. Michigan's foster kids are also being left vulnerable to identity theft. And in New York, lawmakers are calling for the head of Erie County's child protective industry after they failed to protect another kid who died while under their watch. In Nebraska, the child protective industry manages to reduce money owed to the federal government for failing to properly document money that they gave to private agencies during their failed privatization attempts from a few years back. Minnesota is doing a great job at keeping all of the child welfare records secret so that the public has no way to evaluate how they're doing. In Ohio, the courts aren't paying attention to the kids who they place in the care of guardians. And in Mississippi, officials are negotiating the third settlement with a group that has been suing the state over their failure of a child welfare system due to the fact that the state has failed to meet the terms of the last two legal settlements over the last 6 years. In Chile, an investigation is going on into a Catholic priest who is accused of stealing babies for adoption. The CIA is promising to stop using vaccination campaigns to gather intelligence after they hired a Pakistani doctor to get DNA samples from the children of Osama bin Laden to compare to samples taken from his late sister. In Israel, a welfare ministry report has found an increase in violence against social workers. And in Jamaica, a British social worker drowns while trying to save his son who was swept out to sea. In Canada, a Manitoba group home is under the microscope after a wave of crime from the kids who lived there. And two sisters who are separated in the Nova Scotia foster care system meet for the first time in 47 years. In England, the land where parents could be jailed for hurting a child's feelings, Birmingham's Children's Services is deemed inadequate by a child welfare watchdog group called Ofsted. A UKIP candidate who said that gay adoption was child abuse fails to get elected as a councillor in Croydon, and a Catholic family is branded as bigots by British social workers because they don't want their kids to be adopted by a gay couple. In entertainment news this week, Will and Jada Smith are under investigation by the child protective industry because of an inappropriate photo of their 13-year-old daughter on a bed with a shirtless 20-year-old man. CPS agents also want to talk to the 20-year-old man to try to figure out what was up with him. Nancy Grace says that Will Smith should sue over this because she can't believe that they'd waste time investigating this nonsense when kids are dying while CPS does nothing. And Willow Smith tells CPS agents that she did nothing inappropriate with Moses Arias. In Arizona, a foster father gets 3.5 years and a lifetime of probation for severely injuring a 15-month-old foster kid. In Arkansas, 20 kids are removed from a group home after allegations of child abuse surface. In Connecticut, misdemeanor charges are dropped against a mother who refused to let CPS agents into her house, although she still faces charges of risk to injury to a minor. And in Georgia, a foster mother was charged with the murder of a 2-year-old girl. In Washington, 6 siblings get $9 million after the child protective industry failed to keep them safe from a sex offender stepfather. In Alaska, an adopted kid wins $1 million against the child protective industry after they placed him in an abusive home. In Arizona, a homeless mother who left with her kids in the car to go to a job interview a while back will now be allowed supervised visits with her kids. And in Connecticut, a judge rules that DCF provided ample evidence that a transgendered teenager who is living in a jail cell is violent. In Massachusetts, a foster care contractor is under investigation after they reported a sexual assault to DCF but didn't bother to call the police. In Ohio, a foster parent gets 8 months in jail for having sex with a girl who was under 13. In Pennsylvania, a 15-year-old foster kid beats his 70-year-old foster parent, then steals and crashes her SUV. And an 11-year-old from Pennsylvania was charged with beating his 78-year-old foster father with a metal pipe. wipe. In Florida, a civil rights advocate and the real mother is weighing in on a fight regarding a black foster mother who wants to raise a white kid. In Maryland, a 19-year-old heavily medicated foster kid was tased 5 times by police before he died at a hospital. In Tennessee, a couple of foster parents get all teary-eyed for the camera and cry out against the injustice after a judge rules that a girl who they wanted should go live with her real father. A California mother is now trying to get back child support payments after she disappeared with the kids for 15 years. And finally, tonight in California, a mayor is taking heat after he suggests that kids who are bullied should, quote, grow a pair, end quote. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.